from the crypt.
Hello, boys and ghouls. Welcome to episode 101 of Dads from the Crypt, Tales from the Crypt podcast. My name is Jason. I'm joined by Jody.
Hello.
And Mondo.
Hello.
And Jody's got a little bit of a sore throat, so we're gonna give him some respite tonight with the synopsis. But
Yeah,
soon.
my kids have made me sick. It's what every parent relates to. The kids are just piles of germs that have arms and legs,
especially when they're going off to like summer camps and whatnot.
Be around other kids for an entire week and then just bring it back home.
Mm-hmm.
So are you
petri dish?
I'm hoping you're not, but are you the kind of parents that, like, if your kid is sick, you're just like, you're still going to school, you're still going to camp? Thank God, thank Christ. Because you know the reason why you're sick is because someone sent their fucing kid while they were sick, and they infected all these other children. They went and infected their parents. This is kind of like how COVID happened,
right? To some degree, yes.
It's not just allergies, Bob. Fucking go home.
Every time I get something like this in the summer, did y'all ever watch Metalocalypse?
Oh yeah,
a little bit, yeah.
I watch Metalocalypse?
Of course you did. But there's one episode where like somebody's dying and they're going through all this stuff, and the lead guy is like, yeah, that's pretty bad. I've got a summer cold. It's a lot worse than a regular cold because it's a summer cold, and he just complains about his summer cold while there's like this death and destruction happening around him the whole time. That's what I feel like right now. Like summer cold sucks.
I got a really bad cold the week of my twin's birthday a couple weeks ago, and man, that's a bad week to not be at your best. Really
I'm definitely a man flu kind of guy. Like if I lost my arm tomorrow in an accident, like I would just figure it out. I put some tape on it, be okay. But if I don't feel well, everyone's gonna know about it, and everyone's gonna. I'm just gonna lay in bed and act like I'm dying because I feel like I'm dying.
Yeah, I don't get sick much often, but when I do, I'm just like out. I just shut down.
We're just wusses because we're men. We can't help being sick.
We're old. We're getting old.
Speak for yourself. Speak for yourself over there, fucking Polonius or whatever.
All right, we have some exciting business to talk about. If there's one thing I love, it's Fright Rags t-shirts. If there's two things I love, it's the movie Sleepaway Camp. And as most of you, some of you might have seen, Fright Rags announced they're doing a new Sleepaway Camp collection, which makes me so very excited. In fact, it's one of the few horror movies I've gotten my wife to watch and that she actually enjoyed. So much so that a vintage horror video store out in the San Fernando Valley was doing a little screening in their own shop. So me and Kara and our friend Natalie went and saw it with about 10 other people. And if you can watch that movie with a crowd, I highly recommend it. Mondo just biffed that one. For those watching the video, he just tried to throw a can into a trash can until
hold on a second. It was a bottle. A, it bounced out of the can. My trash can is full because it's trash day tomorrow. C, I did that with my left hand and I'm right-handed. So, and all in all, I think it was a pretty valid attempt there.
Yeah, fine.
I feel like if we went one-on-one in basketball, I feel like I could beat you one-on-one in basketball.
Except I'm like a foot taller than you,
but yes, but I feel like I'm more athletic than you are. No offense.
Yeah,
you could beat me. I'm just gonna say it. I'm not even gonna challenge it. You could beat me.
Just put me in a chokehold.
Yeah, I think that's illegal. I don't know the exact rules of basketball, but I feel like if you tried, I feel like if I was
that's street ball.
Yeah, I feel like if Michael Jordan's going for a three and you put him in a chokehold, I'm pretty sure they'll. What do they throw flags?
You might get a key for
that. They give out cards, red cards or yellow cards.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyways, Fright Rags is doing a sleepaway camp, so we're doing a giveaway to celebrate the amazingness of sleepaway camp and the amazingness of Fright Rags. This time around, we're doing iTunes reviews. If you do a iTunes review, send an email with your name that shows up on the iTunes review to dadsfromthecrypt@gmail.com, and you'll be entered into a giveaway for a $25 Fright Rag gift card. And when you go to make your purchase, you can also use code DADSCrypt10, all one word, all lowercase, DADSCrypt10, to get 10% off your purchase. So again, if you want to be entered into the sweepstakes for a gift card from Fright Rags, please leave us a review on iTunes. Send us an email with the name that you submitted the review under. You'll be automatically entered. Also, our patrons get free entries into all of our gift giveaways. So if you join as a patron, you get an extra entry. And if you already are a patron, you're already automatically entered. All right.
And one more thing about I'm wearing the Dead and Buried Fright Rag shirt that I just got. Their shirts are so soft and comfortable.
Yes.
Ben is very adamant on only using high quality shirts, and I like nowadays I've said this before. I am disappointed when I buy a shirt and it's that fucking heavy cotton. Like I've definitely gone to concerts, and before I buy a shirt, been like, can I feel it before I buy it, because I don't want to wear a shirt that's not comfortable, and their shirts are comfortable.
Exactly. Yeah. Very good quality shirts. They have great sizes. If you're a big and tall guy like me, they have some very good sizes.
And they do have too also a great EC Comics collection. I'm not wearing.
Oh yeah, I got mine too. It's so cool. You have a great EC Comics collection. I haven't put a hard deadline this, but let's say Friday, August the 4th will be the deadline. Midnight, August the 4th.
They also just released a new EC Comics hat, I think, too, with EC on it, and it's scenes on the bill, all kinds of good stuff. They
also have some non-horror shirts. They have like a Good, the Bad, and the Ugly shirt, which I'll probably be getting soon because that's one of my favorite movies. Some Back to the Future, some was it UHF Special City. So lots of great stuff, and we don't even know exactly what the Sleepaway Camp collection is going to be. I just know it's going to be awesome. We'll know more the Tuesday after this comes out. I think it's going to be the 25th is when they said. If there's not a pink shirt that has Judy written on it, I'm going to be very upset. If there's not a shirt that says eat shit and die, eat shit and live, I'll be a little disappointed, but whatever they come out with, I'm sure it'll be awesome. And we'll talk more about that in our next episode.
You know, they should make an anatomically correct Angela onesie.
I was gonna say they need a branded curling iron, but
I like my idea better. Just like you know what it can have on it too. It can be like a what are those like? Are they make shirts like when it gets warm, the image changes. Like it can be normal clothing, but then when your body heat rises, just bam, wiener.
Bam, wiener. On that note, let's talk about this week's episode. We're talking Tales from the Crypt, season 7, episode 3. Which came out on May 3rd, 1996, called A Slight Case of Murder. Mondo, give us your expert plot synopsis.
Okay, so I kind of got so Jody's not feeling that great. So he's like, can someone else synopsize? I'm like, yes, because nothing happened in this episode. It's gonna be a pretty easy episode to synopsize. And I'm gonna go on a limb and say it wasn't the worst episode I've probably ever. Actually, you know what? It might have been the worst episode I've seen from Tales from the Crypt, because it was just boring. Just fucking boring.
All right, so we'll get into that. Let's do the plot synopsis.
So first of all, I did love the wraparound.
Yeah.
No offense
to Crypt Keeper.
Yeah, no offense to anyone that's like into astrology. Like if that's your thing, it's cool. Like totally cool. I don't necessarily believe in it, but I do think it's funny because if you just sat someone down and listened to the intro to this, like, if he could be just reading out an astrology book and I wouldn't know the difference. Like he's like, yeah, I'm an asparagus and this person's a Gatorade and Mars is in whatever. So like, but a great wraparound. I love the little beard and the wizard outfit or something like that. It's pretty cool.
Anytime they add facial hair to the Crypt Keeper, I get really excited. That's a quote in itself, but
man, the Crypt Keeper for being when he was young for scaring me. Now it's like he's like that. If you were in real life and you saw him like shopping at Sprouts or Whole Foods and he needed it, you'd help him like, can I help you with your items to your car, please, sir? Like he's just all adorable and frail. He'd probably be dressed like in some really cool outfit. He's basically Roger from American Dad. Just they had to have stolen the idea from the Crypt Keeper. So after we get the really cool intro, we then move on to 15 minutes of this lady just typing on a typewriter. I'm pretty sure like that's 90% of the episode it's basically like a more it's basically like a wish.com Angela Lansbury.
Oh god.
Like this is I recently watched the first episode of Murder, She Wrote, and you want to know what? The first episode was awesome. It was like a Hammer film. And actually, the intro is them shooting a Hammer film. I'm like, this is cool and inventive. And then I watch this, and I'm like, oh, this is like taking that idea but making it way worse. And anyhow, she's kind of like an Agatha Christie type. She's a horror mystery writer. And I guess the other woman that comes in is her landlord.
I thought it was just her neighbor.
Her neighbor, something like that.
Neighbor.
But she's an aspiring writer too. And she comes to borrow sugar, which is, by the way, does anybody ever come to your house anymore and borrow things like sugar? Or
Sometimes if I'm like don't have an egg or like enough butter, I'll go to my neighbor. Sure, why not?
That's like some extroverted shit there. I just gotta say that, guys, because like if I don't have an egg, I just don't have an egg. Like there's no like I'm gonna climb someone's tree and steal like a pigeon egg. I don't know, but I don't know if it's a thing.
Imagine you just growing up a tree.
I don't like. I think about doing it in my brain. I think of like when you come down, and like your arms be just torn to shit from whatever bark. Plus, it's Vegas, so like there's trees here. I shouldn't say there's not trees. Anyhow, she comes over and she's an aspiring writer, and basically, our main character here, I can't remember her name. Sharon is just super rude to her. And just like mocking her every step of the way, openly mocking her. And it's one of those things where you kind of think of first, like, is she just a nice old lady and she doesn't get she's being mocked? But no, you kind of quickly realize she's being mocked. So things happen, and her like ex-husband comes over and he's like, man, have you been fooling around on me? And he has a gun or something like that. And this is how much I remember this episode. He has a gun and some stuff happens, and he accuses her of sleeping with Miss Sharon's son, and Miss Trask's son, who's
neighbor,
neighbor who's infatuated with her. And he's like, no, I never sleep with her because she made it. I did love that she set boundaries and he agreed to the boundaries. She basically was like, I never want to see you. And he's like, are you sleeping together? And he goes, no, because she told me that she never wanted to look at me. And I was like, oh, look at that. She set boundaries, told him no, and he agreed to the boundaries. That's consent. That's actually pretty cool. Like, you don't usually see that. So thumbs up for writing consent into your episode. But the husband thinks they're sleeping around. And then long story short, Miss Trask as an aspiring novelist, she kind of wrote what was going to happen. Whereas he basically there's gonna be a gun duel, someone's gonna die, but in the last person's dying breath, rigor mortis is gonna set in and pull the trigger of the gun and shoot the other person, which happens, and that's how Sharon dies. And then Miss Trask takes her novel and puts her name on it and submits it, and that's pretty much what happens. And the end.
Hold on, you missed the whole subplot, because throughout the entire episode, Miss Trask is baking cookies. And she has her son Joey, and she sends Joey over to give Sharon the cookies.
Yeah, okay.
And well, hold on. So Joey, the son, starts eating the cookies, and then there's a big like standoff between Joey the son, Larry the shitty husband, and Sharon, where they start shooting, where the Sharon and Larry the husband shoot each other.
Real fast, I want a comedian named Larry the shitty husband.
Larry the shitty husband.
We have a Larry the King. We get a Larry the
shitty husband. Okay, so the husband and wife shoot each other, but then Joey doubles.
I don't want him to even be that bad. I want him to be just shitty enough. Like I don't want him like hit his wife, but he's definitely condescending. Like he definitely doesn't take the trash out, like and not because it's a man's job, because she asked him and he's like this. No, I'm not doing that.
Okay. Joey doubles over because he ate the cookies because they were poisoned. So this whole thing was orchestrated by Mrs. Trask, the neighbor. She's the one that sent the postcard that she wrote as Joey to the husband, or so she put somewhere the husband would see it. So Sharon and Joey, the neighbor boy, were never actually together. It was all planted by Sharon, and Sharon was going to try to poison. It's all done by Mrs. Trask, the neighbor. She was going to poison Sharon. That was her goal by sending the cookies with Joey.
If you want to synopsize, you could have said you want to synopsize it, Jason.
Well, I don't want to, but I'm saying that to me is like the whole crux of the episode, is that everyone's being played by Mrs. Trask, who you think is just someone nosy neighbor, but no, she's really playing. Have you
ever read a book and like somehow you're like 200 pages in and you have no fucking idea what you just read?
Yeah.
That's pretty much how I felt about this episode. Like I watched the whole thing and I was like, I don't even care about what I just saw. Like that's how much it bored me to tears.
All right, Jody, tell us what you thought of this episode.
Hearing Mondo describe this, and like this person shoots this person and this person shoots this person and this person dies, and it reminds does anyone remember the SNL digital short called Dear Sister?
No.
Not
Sadly,
that
no, but I should probably look it up, huh?
You've got Bill Hader and Andy Samberg.
I'm sold.
And like they're talking, and then out of nowhere, one of them pulls a gun on the other one and shoots him in the stomach, and that music starts playing like from the OC, that what you say, that song, you know, and he drops down to the ground, and then the one on the ground shoots him, and then Kirsten Wiig comes in, and she's supposed to be the sister, and then hang on, yes, and then they shoot her multiple times. Then the cops come in and they find this letter, and it says, "Dear sister, here's what I think's going to go down. He's going to shoot me. I'm going to shoot him. You're going to come in. We're going to shoot him multiple times. And then the cops are going to shoot each other." And it's all spelled out. And then the cops shoot each other. And that's the end of the episode. Anyway, that's what it felt like. It like the whole, like, I orchestrated all this. Like, she's got to be some kind of amazing mastermind to know how all three of these people are going to act enough to like make it happen the way that it did. But yeah, I'm in the end though, I'm kind of with Mondo that I just don't feel like anything like held my attention in this one. I don't know if it's the Britishness of it all or what, but it just it's 25 minutes and I kept like losing I kept drifting off in the middle of this episode to look at other things. That's not a good sign.
It was 25 minutes long, and like I literally had to check to see if I'd aged. Like I was like, I haven't watched the episode for 3 years. Like, is Biden still president? What happened in the 2024 election? Like, I didn't even. Okay, I love a good whodunit. I really do love a good whodunit, but a good whodunit, you have to be thinking whodunit. And this one, I knew exactly what was going to happen step by step, which I've said isn't always a bad thing. Like, predictability is not always bad when it makes sense and you like where the story's going and you like how it's put together. But I think this is just very lazily put together.
So did you predict the cookies were poisoned?
100%. Yeah, I knew exactly where. Like the minute she walks in and the minute they start having the conversation about I'm like, dude, I know exactly where this is going. It was pretty obvious.
Okay, so now that I let you guys kind of punch yourselves out, I totally it was up to you until the cookie moment, because that totally I was just like, okay, this is kind of another ho-hum episode, and I was like, why? Usually the main character, like Sharon the writer, they would find some way to make her sympathetic or get you to be on her side and root for her struggle, but no point do they ever make her sympathetic in this episode. And I was just like, oh, are they just being lazy with this? Like, what? Yeah. Like, they're not even trying to make her likable.
And that might have been part of my problem with paying attention. Is the three characters who died, I didn't care that any of them died. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah,
they all suck.
But to me,
he's
that
dead
was
anyways.
I'm not sure. I don't know if this was intentional or not. But to me, that kind of lulled me to sleep. I was just like, I wasn't paying that much attention. So when the twist, that was actually the neighbor lady who was behind everything, that really got me. I was like, wow, that's actually pretty well done. And
wait, hold on a second. You can't say it was well done if the idea was to lull you to a false sense of boredom. So
well, not boredom, but well, again,
you just said it lulled you to sleep.
I'm saying, but I don't know. Again, I don't know what it was a good misdirect. I'll put it that way.
Okay, because like,
I wasn't expecting.
No, so imagine if Empire Strikes Back was super boring, and the only reason it was exciting was because of the twist. Like, you wouldn't fucking call that a good movie.
Well, okay, but there's a difference between a Star Wars movie and a Tales from the Crypt episode. I feel like we have to grade season 7 on its own curve.
No.
Yes.
I don't. I think we have to grade it as part of the series. And I don't think we can just take season 7 and give it slack because it was season 7. We know the troubles, right? We know all that. But I'm not going to grade something like a 3 that would have been a 1 if it was in season 4.
I don't know. Yes and no. I was impressed.
I'm feeling salty today.
I know you are. Damn. And I'm trying to be the nice one. You used to say I hate Tales from the Crypt because of things like this. And here I am defending it.
Jason's favorite season is season 7, confirmed.
Oh no. No.
This is the height.
I'll just say that in hindsight, like when that twist happened, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I was not expecting anything more from this episode. I thought, okay, we're just in this little lovers triangle, yada yada yada. I was not expecting anything extra from this episode, and then it hit me like that, and I was like, okay, that was good. That got me, and it made sense why they made the main character so unsympathetic, and it kind of filled in a lot of little holes that were kind of coming up, and yeah, I don't think this is the best episode.
I mean, I didn't. As far as I'm concerned, like no holes are getting filled during this episode because nothing about it was enjoyable.
No, I liked it way better than last week. You think last week was better than this?
No, I'd say okay. The problem is like and this is all right. Again, I don't want to be super negative in this last season because we know the troubles the show went through, and there's still something to be said, right? When you can, and I will say one thing, like the performances were totally fine. Like the people that played the roles did perfectly competent. But if I have to sum up the first 3 episodes so far, it's forgettable.
Yeah.
And I don't even really remember last week that much. It just kind of was in
last week was
the other one.
Yeah, last week was the monkey paw episode.
Yeah, that one I'd say was better. Definitely.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Because we bashed that one on that episode. But
I would say because it still had an aura of supernatural natural to it, so that's something to latch on to. And I didn't think it was good by any means. Don't get me wrong. I think I gave it a 2. I think I was generous. This one's not spoiler. This one's not getting a 2.
Wow. That's okay. We're gonna agree to disagree on that one, but that's okay.
I mean, now I'm interested, Jason. Like watch Jason drop a 4. Drop a 4.
No, I'm not that generous.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said, when again, man, like I want some horror out of it. I want some supernaturalism, and this was just like this could have been like a soap opera on the BBC. And
it was totally it was a total Murder She Wrote kind of episode.
Like if it didn't have Tales on Crypt attached to it, there's zero chance I would ever want to watch this episode. And let's be honest, like if you read the synopsis of this episode and it was for like, I don't know, for fucking Sherlock or something like that, you wouldn't watch it. You'd be like, nah, I'm just gonna skip this one.
But there's one thing after 3 British episodes, it seems like it's really easy to get a gun in England. I'm surprised because all we hear about is other gun control, and guns are popping up everywhere in these episodes.
Yeah, that is kind of
maybe the 90s were different.
Yeah.
Oh, and I really do hate this. God, I really hate the trope with the fucking safety on a gun.
Yeah, I know.
Because the reason why it's so stupid when it's done is why, if you're planning on killing someone, why is the safety on to begin with? Like, did you know it was going to get wrestled out of your hand? Like, why would? And also, have you guys ever turned a safety off on a gun?
No.
It's a little fucking switch that is right there. It says safety on it. It's not like you have to fiddle with the gun or hit it. Like,
you just move it.
I mean,
literally just flip a little switch.
On one hand, again, for if it's the victim that steals the gun away, I can imagine that they're not in a state of mind where they can think through everything very clearly. But it is definitely a cliche in movies.
But he was definitely about to shoot her, right?
Yeah,
he would have had the safety off when she stole it from him. So why was it on then?
Yeah, I hate that trope because they do it so much, and it's the safety's on. It's just you know what was one of the best usages ever though. One of the best tropes they ever did, and one of the most underrated movies of all time, or maybe underappreciated, is Last Action Hero. When he's shooting at Arnold, and his gun goes click click, and he goes, "Aha, you're in the real world. You ran out of bullets." He goes, "No, I just left 2 chambers empty," and then shoots them. I was like, holy shit, that was like one of my favorite scenes in a movie.
I do love Last Action Hero.
The Last Action Hero, anybody out there who hasn't seen that movie, don't read the reviews on it because it got pretty critically panned when it came out. But I think it also got panned in the way that New Nightmare got panned when it came out. That they're doing something really clever and creative with it. And I watched that movie like 2 months ago. I was on an airplane. I still love that movie. I think it's better now.
I haven't seen the whole thing. I've never sat down and watched it. Really? Like, I've seen clips on TV. Like I've been in and out on TV. I've been meaning to, and I'll do that.
I loved that movie as a kid, and I watched it with my kids a year or so ago. still totally fun. Like I had a great time with it.
Yeah.
You see a man get impaled with an ice cream cone in the head. Come on.
in the antagonist, and that's such like for being kind of a goofy movie, he plays the role between sinister and goofy like perfectly.
Is this Charles Dance?
Yeah, it's Charles Dance. It's the bad guy from
I need to see this movie.
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, Alien 3, yeah. You know what's another crazy, not to go off on too much tangent, another crazy 90s action movie? You guys remember seeing Broken Arrow?
The only thing I remember about Broken Arrow was I think it was John Travolta telling, was it Christian Slater?
Mm-hmm.
He was like, please do not shoot at the thermonuclear weapon.
Yeah.
I remember
that really like crazy 90s John Woo movie. It's really fun.
Mm-hmm. I was talking about it today. I was watching Ernest Goes to Camp today because it's been a rough week where I just needed to watch. My dog's been ill. I just needed to watch a feel-good movie. And at the beginning, he's getting stabbed with a needle because he hates needles. And he yells, "I am Dr. Joseph Mengele." And I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh, God. Oh,
like,
God.
It's a kid's movie. He just called himself the Nazi angel of death. Like, holy shit. But towards the end of the movie, the guy's trying to there's a bunch of business guys trying to basically buy this buy this native land, and they decide that they're just going to shoot Ernest, and they're all urging the guy to shoot. All these businessmen are urging them to shoot him in front of all these witnesses. Like, this isn't going to be okay. like they're going to win. They're going to go to court and be okay after this happens. I was like, it's not meant to be serious. It's actually a really. Watching it again as an adult, I'm like, oh, this movie holds up. It does hold up. It's got wacky humor. But I'm like, some of the stuff we saw back then when we were younger, it's like,
I think that movie's so funny at the end too, because they don't just run the bad guys out. Like, it's explosions over and over. Like, they blow everything up. I like violence.
Yes, and I love he beats the guy up. Like, there's a scene in there, and actually, it's pretty when Ernest goes like, fuck, he basically says, "I'm gonna save the camp. I'm just gonna go whip this guy's ass." Like, I love it. He just goes to go beat this. He gets the shit kicked out of him. But you gotta respect that. He's like, "No, I'm gonna go stand up to this dude who's like 6 inches taller than me." But at the end, he knocks him out he uses like a Ric Flair, better Kenta Kobashi chop, and chops him like right in the face. I loved it so much. I'm like, that's awesome. Nice. Anyhow, all these movies are way better than this episode. So,
all right, let's talk about the talent behind this episode. This was directed by Brian Helgeland. He directed, so he's written a ton of movies. He wrote Nightmare on Elm Street 4, Dream Master, 976 Evil, a couple episodes of Friday the 13th, the series. He wrote LA Confidential, Mystic River, Man on Fire, and he's had some good directing too. He directed a Payback and Knight's Tale and the 42. So he's got a really good resume. So I think I kind of connected with a little bit of that directing.
He also wrote this episode too.
He wrote this episode as well, yeah. And actually, Alan Gill just did kind of like a best and worst episode of Tales from the Crypt, like their own opinions, and they actually called out this episode as a great one. So,
as a good one, really?
Yeah. Well, at least as far as like writing and directing goes.
The directing, nothing wrong with the directing at all.
Yeah.
And you know, also too, with them having behind the scenes look at it, they might have seen stuff we're not going to see on the screen.
Right. It's a good episode, so everyone should go listen. But they don't really talk as much about like as like an audience perspective, but more of like as the making of like what they remember more positively and negatively.
And you know, I can definitely see, you know, someone having grander ideas than when the budget came through, like, we have to scale this down and figure out how we're going to constrain this into whatever, you know.
Yeah. All right. So Sharon, the writer, is played by Francesca Annis. She was in Kroll and Dune, among many other things. Larry, the shitty husband, is played by Christopher Cazenove. He was in Dynasty for many episodes. He was also in A Knight's Tale. There was also in Three Men and a Little Lady.
I watched all of those, the 3 Men and a Baby,
I used to watch those. I used to watch those when I was a kid. Those were fun.
God, what if we had a comedian too that was like Lawrence the British Noble? Like I want a series of Jeff Foxworthy jokes, but done like
the British Jeff Foxworthy.
If you have 3 servants washing your feet in the morning, you might be a British noble. I cannot do a fucking British accent.
There we go. Let's see.
Joey, when you get drunk, do you ever just drop like Jeff Foxworthy redneck jokes? Like, if you
no
TVs, no. Okay.
No. I live among it too much.
And to be fair, that guy's a fucking hack. So.
All right. Joey Trask is played by Patrick Barlow. He was in Shakespeare in Love, Notting Hill, Bridget Jones' Diary, pretty much all the British early 2000s comedies. And again, I'm mostly focusing on the more major stuff that American audience knows, because all these people had huge British careers that just don't mean anything.
Are you
us.
trying to hold on a second? Are you trying to say that we're uncultured here as fans of Tales?
No, I just don't have any reference for any of those things. I don't know which of them are worth talking about. So Elizabeth Spriggs plays Mrs. Trask, and her biggest thing is that she was in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And when I was looking at her IMDb, it just said fat lady. I'm like, oh, that's kind of mean. Like she was just like some larger woman in the background, but no, she's actually in the talking pictures as the fat lady who sings.
Oh,
so,
okay.
That's yeah, so that at least context that makes more sense.
I can't remember what comedian I was listening to, and he was saying that he was in a movie, and then he was all excited to show his parents, and his role with the credit is like crackhead.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, god damn it.
All right, I'm going to do the comic comparison. So again, this is another case where the comic has almost nothing to do with the episode.
So the comic is probably decent.
So, Jody, which comic is this from? I don't have it in front of me.
It is from. Hang on, I lost my tab here. The Vault of Horror, I think, number 33. I'm gonna double check that, but Vault of Horror number 33, I believe.
All right, we'll double check that. So basically, there's a town where murders are happening. A man who used to live. Okay, a man who used to live in the town comes back to help solve the murders. He's a doctor. He goes to the sheriff to talk about the murders because he has an idea of who's committing them. The sheriff says that basically they all happen the same way, where there's a young woman who is savagely mutilated in a room, but everything is locked when they come in there. So the windows are locked, the doors are locked, so they can't figure out how the murderer got in or out, so they think it's supernatural. So again, he talks to the sheriff, and then he goes and talks to a couple other people in the town. And basically, he tells the sheriff, meet me by this old boarded up mansion tonight at sundown. So they get up there, and he's telling him that the stranger, the doctor, says, I think I know who the murderer is. I think he's up there in the mansion. And he tells that the mansion used to belong to a wealthy couple. The husband died while the wife was pregnant, and when she gave birth, the child was disfigured, where he had didn't really have developed limbs. And then the woman decided to keep him and become secluded in the house. That's when the doctor left for about 25 years. So he thinks that the child is now grown up and is able to get in and out of spaces to like chimneys or ducts and whatever, and thinks that the child is the murderer. Well, it turns out that the child is the murderer, but the child is also the chief of police, whatever. And basically, somehow the disfigured figure is able to build a robot that it fits into to become the sheriff. It doesn't quite make sense, but there's like one last thing. It's kind of like in Men in Black, where there's like the little guy and the big guy, the little alien robot, like controlling the big person, like a bigger exoskeleton. It's that kind of thing. So turns out the sheriff was the murderer.
What an absolutely weird comic.
It's very weird. Yeah.
Shock you?
If anything, just go check out the last panel, because they always hit you with that last panel. That's always got something kind of bizarre and shocking in it. So yeah, but other than there being murders, I guess there's absolutely nothing to do with this episode.
I'd have liked to see a robot murder though.
All right, let's do our rating out of 5. Jody, what do you give this episode?
Okay, so just to be fair, I watched this under the worst conditions possible, which is having whatever summer cold my children gave me, and so focus was all over the place. But like 1.5 as far as my experience with it this time. Ask me on a different day, I might have had a better opinion, but today it just was not working for me.
All right, Mondo.
So in full disclosure, I watched this in perfectly good mood. I was having a good morning, had some breakfast, and just got home from the gym. Was feeling good, like all pumped up, ready to watch some Tales from the Crypt. And this quickly turned my mood to less than happy. So I'm gonna give it a 1.
It wasn't offensive.
It wasn't offensive at all, but it was just like I just spent 25 minutes doing that when I could have done anything else, like putting my gi in the washing machine or fucking ramming my head into a wall. Like it could have been a million different things I could have been doing with my time. I could have stubbed my toe. I could have been a whole more. I'm just, like I'm talking more shit than I really should. Again, like direction was fine, but it was so forgettable and so boring in my opinion. 1 is probably being maybe a little bit too harsh on it. I can't go 2. So, I'll do 1.5. I'll go with Jody on this.
Actually, for my fairness, I'm going to go up to that 2. So I never change my score. I will give it a 2. Like, I think there are decent parts of it.
Did I somehow, with my negative review, sway you into giving it a higher score?
I'm not really sure what happened, but just as I was thinking about it, I'm like, maybe I'm being too harsh too. Like,
I don't think so. I think like when you said 1.5, I was like, that's when I thought maybe I should go 1.5 because like the acting was decent and the direction was decent. But yeah,
I'm just thinking of the movies I've rated 1.5 on Letterboxd, and they've got to be just like offensively bad. Like that, like the movies with 1 star I put on Letterboxd involve stuff like Clown Rape, which is a real movie that I'm thinking of. And Jamie and Matt, our friends, know what it is. And it was awful. It was just the worst, offensive, made you feel gross afterwards. And I'm like, that's a 1 star movie. So I cannot give this episode 1 star. Like, this is bad, but it's nothing like that kind of thing that like
I remember that
talk about for the next year. We
were kind of all doing a watching chat. And I tapped out before that one. I think in the morning you're like, you're lucky you tapped out before that movie started. It
was bad. So that's the kind of stuff that gets a 1 from me. This is more in that like category, so I give it a 2.
Yeah, I can see that. I kind of look at it overall in the whole like pantheon of Tales from the Crypt. Well, I think this is legit one of the worst episodes I've seen. So I'm gonna rate it pretty low.
Yeah, I like how Jody laid out. I think 1 is like offensively bad, 2 might just be mediocre.
Yeah,
and then it's all kind of degrees.
So then 1.5 is just bad. It's not offensively bad. Like I'm not mad that I watched it.
No, it's your rating.
I'm definitely using hyperbole there. I'm not upset that I watched it, but like I'd have been totally fine. Like if I would have been out for this episode and you guys reviewed it, I'd listen to you guys and be like, oh yeah, I'm glad I didn't watch that.
I'll go with a 3. I was just
you have rated way better episodes lower than that.
Probably. And I totally agree that a lot of it is just like, was I running out of time? I had to watch it real quick right before we reviewed. There's all those kind of factors, and I don't know, something about this just hit me in the right way. And at least for the last like 5 minutes, the last 5 minutes to me redeems the rest.
I think the difference is like Jody lives in Tennessee, I live in Las Vegas. If Al listens to this and gets upset, he can't come to our house and like punch us in the stomach. He could come to your house and punch you in the stomach if he needs to.
I think I could take him. I think you've met Al. He's not the
Hey dude, again, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for a long time. I've seen a lot of smaller people whoop the shit out of bigger people. I've got my ass kicked by people who are 80 pounds lighter than me when I was, or even 100 pounds lighter than me when I was my heaviest. So I don't know.
If you can get Al into some Brazilian jiu-jitsu, I think he could do something, but
how do you know he doesn't already train? He might train, you just don't know. I know he doesn't because we'd already talked about it.
Yeah.
Like you can't get 2 guys in a room that know jiu-jitsu and they're either going to talk about it or
exactly it's the rule of attraction
or we're going to start moving furniture and the party's getting awkward.
All right.
Did I ever tell you when I was in Germany and a guy got stabbed because of me? So we were at I was in Germany, in Regensburg. I met my friend Al. I'm just gonna use his real name, Alex, because no one's gonna meet him. And he's a big Viking looking dude. So we start talking jiu-jitsu, and after we had some drink, we had some liquor in us. So we're outside this club. And you guys, a club in Germany, in a small town in Germany, is not the same as it is like in Los Angeles, where it's $8,000 drinks. But so we started just having a little grappling match out front. So security came and focused on what was going on there. Meanwhile, just like 20 feet away, someone's getting stabbed, and that was missed by security because we were having a fake grappling match. And we found out about the next day. And we were also roofied too. That was pretty cool. When I say pretty cool, have you ever just like snapped to reality and you're in a city in another country and you don't know how to get to your hotel room?
No, I can't say I have.
No.
I had to walk to a taxi driver and hand him my hotel key with the address on it. And I'm pretty sure we only drove for like 3 minutes and it was like 20 euros. But I was just like desperate to find out how to get back to my hotel. Another story for another day. One day I'll put on our Patreon how my story of me getting roofied in Germany. I laugh about it now, but it was not a fun.
I don't know where to go with that one. Mondo, give us your song of the day.
So since we just watched something and consumed, I guess what you'd call British television, and we consumed something from England that was terrible, I want to go ahead and give us something from England that is not terrible.
Led Zeppelin.
Dude, first of all, Jason, I'm gonna pay Al $50 to come to your house and fucking kick you right in the shin. Like,
you teed me up for that one.
Fuck, dude, fuck Led Zeppelin, man. Like, if ever, you know what? No, we're gonna do it from a band who has no who's never been accused of kidnapping a young girl and for the purpose of marrying her. So I'm looking at you, Jimmy Page. But that's documented. That's fact. Like that's not. If his people are listening to this, we can. It's court documents, brother. You can't sue me over that one because I don't think so. And if you are going to sue us, my name is Jason Stein. But anyhow, I digress. Here's a band, Jason, you may know without even knowing that you know them. Mm-hmm. So back in the late 70s, early 80s, you kind of had what they call the new wave of British heavy metal. It was bands, Iron Maiden would be considered in that group. Some people consider early Def Leppard to be part of that before they kind of turn into more of a commercialized kind of American, you know, that bullshit fucking hair metal, which I hate. They call it metal that was coming out in the States at the time, which actually led the way to thrash. So that's okay, I guess. Like, I hate when everyone says Seattle and grunge music killed heavy metal, because it didn't. Metal never died. It fucking killed hair metal, and who gives a shit? Because that fucking sucked. Like, I'm sorry if that's like your thing, but like, it's just, there were some bands that were really good, but most of them were just fucking garbage. And when I say some bands, I can't even name one. But meanwhile,
whoever did the intro for Peacemaker, The Rock.
I wonder who did, and I can't think of it. Or fucking was it Dokken, of course. Come on, Dokken with Dream Warriors, and you had a White Lion doing that amazing Transformers the movie intro. Come on.
Peacekeeper's band was Wigwam.
Okay, that's they made that up. But they're Tigers of Pang Tang. All kinds of bands that are coming over from the from Europe that are doing this new wave of British heavy metal. This Blitzkrieg, just a really really cool sound. And he said, I would say I would definitely lump Maiden in there before Maiden got more progressive. But a band had a huge influence on Metallica's career. That it's kind of funny because I still actually a friend of the show, Andy, didn't actually realize that that because they actually covered Metallica later on, like recently in their careers. And he didn't realize that a lot of his early Metallica covers were Diamond Head songs. Yeah, the band is Diamond Head.
I knew that's where you're going. Yeah, is Am I Evil?
Yeah, I was gonna pick Am I Evil, but it's too easy, right?
It is easy, but that song is amazing.
Oh, it's great. But what's funny is like, so the first record that came out with, the first full length came out in 1980, and it's called Lightning to the Nations, and it's a great album. And I think that anyone who likes that, if the only versions you know of these songs are Metallica, and you listen to these and you don't like that Iron Maiden sound, I guess, or that early British sound, I'm not going to say you're going to love the songs, because you probably had that Metallica version ingrained in your brain, which is definitely heavier and more thrash. But on that first record, Metallica covered The Prince, they covered Am I Evil, they covered It's Electric and Helpless. They covered 4 songs off of that album. And it's kind of funny because they'll even say like they're playing these songs in clubs and they weren't telling people they were covers, because back then it's not like it is now where you didn't have a cell phone with Shazam on it. You could fucking see what the song was. When
Metallica did all those covers and everything, and they started talking about Diamond Head like in the mid 90s. Actually, I went to like my local record shop and like they imported a copy of Unto the Nations for me.
Oh no,
Lightning
to the Nations.
Lightning to the Nations. Yeah, they imported a copy for me, like special order.
Oh, that's cool.
Listen to it, because again, we didn't have the internet to download or go on YouTube and stream or whatever.
Yeah, back then it was just a different time. And the song I want to pick is actually called Sucking My Love. It's what a cool name. Like back then, whenever any, like, I wouldn't even say people our age, but people probably a little bit older than us, so the generation before us will say, nah, like music now is so dirty and grimy and it's so like, dude, the fucking euphemisms back in the day, sucking my love. Come on, like, we know what you meant. Like the lyrics go, I can feel her heart. It is beating down inside. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tasty, tasty, tasty. Mm-hmm. We know.
I'm isolating that clip, by the way.
I mean, later on, the line goes, faster, love, make me go, shoot me faster. We know he's talking about, ladies and gentlemen, he's talking about skeeting. We know exactly what he's talking about. But and Motorhead had a song called a song Killed by Death. The first two lines were, if you squeeze my reptile, I'll put a snake on you. He meant his penis. And then later on, he did a song called "Love Me Like a Reptile." You think that lyric being "Love Me by a Reptile"? No, but he snuck into a song called "Killed by Death." Which, how metal is that, by the way? Even though Lemmy hated being called a metal band, he was a rock and roll. He's a rock and roll band. Anyhow, though, like it's just funny how when people complain about like modern music, it's like, dude, fucking our good old crazy Uncle Ted, fucking Ted Nugent. That guy. Yeah. Dude, Cat Scratch Fever is like one of the rapiest songs ever written. Motorhead covered that, and Lemmy changed the lyrics to be way more wholesome.
That's funny.
Literally, like Lemmy's like, I'm not fucking singing these lyrics because they're fucking stupid. Good, fuck you, Uncle Ted. Anyhow, but Aqua Teen Hunger Force did an episode about Ted Nugent coming out of a billboard and shooting people with arrows.
Oh god.
I can say, yeah. If any kids are listening, you should go back and watch them old Aqua Teen Hunger Force. So anyhow, we got to it, Jason. But yes. The song of the week is "Sucking My Love" by the band Diamond Head off the album "Lightning to the Nations." Nice. And if you like, there's a lot of cooler, some really good like modern power metal bands coming out, and a lot of older bands actually kind of coming back and doing like Exciter. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're doing a tour here pretty soon, and they're taking a band called a Bloodstar on tour with them, who are just like, I fucking love them. They just came out with a new song, and it sounds like a throwback to good 80s like heavy metal. And a lot of bands are redoing that style. Eternal Champions, another one. Sumerlands. The new Sumerland album, they even covered a Fleetwood Mac song, and it's killer. So a lot of bands are doing that retro, that kind of throwback, but they're doing it not tongue in cheek. They're doing it deadly serious, and they're taking the music very, very seriously. And it's really cool to hear. But again, a lot of the stuff wouldn't exist if it wasn't for these early 80s and late 70s British bands.
Nice. Thank you, Mondo.
You are welcome, Jason. I felt good. Needed that.
All right, let's do some horror news, Jody.
All right. This will be the longest stretch of me talking, so I'm going to try to get through it here. All right. As far as new releases coming out, so we are officially in Barbenheimer season because Barbie and Oppenheimer both come out in a couple days. That's dominating all the release news right now, but there are a couple other things coming out. There's a movie called Cobweb that looks pretty interesting. Lizzie Kaplan in it.
I like Lizzie Kaplan.
And Anthony Starr from The Boys. I've seen trailers for it. It looks pretty cool. I would definitely recommend checking it out. It's a terrible weekend to release a movie because anyone going to the theater is going to go see one of those movies. Also, the same weekend, the movie Mad Heidi is going to be in theaters for a one-day thing. Looks like a lot of fun. It's basically Heidi with murder, up in the Swiss Alps with goats and milkmaids and blood. So yeah,
the trailer is one of my favorite trailers I've seen in a long time.
Oh yeah,
it's like just 90% cheese jokes, and it's they're waterboarding a guy with cheese, with hot cheese.
Right. It's one of those movies that I think looks better as a trailer than it probably will as a whole movie, but I'm glad it exists.
It's on VOD already, I think.
Yeah, it is.
I haven't seen it yet. It's on my list to watch. I don't know what the runtime is, but it's one of those movies that like it needs to have a nice, tight, crisp runtime.
Yeah,
the joke can't overstay its welcome. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, me too. Other news. So for collectors like me, Trick or Treat Studios has put some stuff up for pre-order, some figures. The most exciting ones, they've got Candyman, and it's a decent looking Candyman figure. NECA's looks better, but it's one of the clothed ones. And they also have a pretty good looking Michael Myers from the 78 original Halloween. But the one I'm most excited about is Farmer Vincent from Motel Hell with the big head, with the big pig head on and the chainsaw in his hands. That one has already been pre-ordered as soon as I found out about it. We also got our first look. Paramount Plus is making a prequel to Pet Cemetery called Pet Cemetery Bloodlines. Here's the thing. Any movie with bloodlines as its subtitle, probably not great. But you know what? I appreciate weird sequels and prequels and stuff like that because it reminds me of the video store days where they would just make, the next chapter in whatever series, and it would not make any sense. It would be low budget, and it's fine. It's fine. I like it.
So I have a question. Would you rather see Pet Cemetery Bloodlines or Pet Cemetery Ends?
Pet Cemetery Ends wouldn't actually be about the cemetery, though, would it? It'd just be about this guy.
You've got a guy that works in a Walmart, like
this guy in town. Yeah.
Well done.
Also,
I approve of that joke.
We also have some images from the new Last Voyage of the Demeter have been released. That's Andre Overdahl's new movie about one chapter of the Book of Dracula, but it's Dracula coming over. It looks awesome. I got my latest Fangoria the other day, and it has a bunch of pictures too. This is Dracula as like a feral beast. The makeup looks amazing. It's Javier Baudet, who does a lot of those like makeup monsters, very skinny guys. The Haunting of Hill House, I think he was in that as the bit neck lady and some other stuff. Really cool. Looks amazing. And then finally, this is maybe slightly older news, but we didn't talk about it last time. The nominees for Emmys have come out.
I brought those up in case you weren't going to cover it.
Yeah, I usually don't put a whole lot of care into like award shows, but I always love it when horror does show up in them just to be acknowledged a little bit. So a couple things worth mentioning. In Outstanding Drama Series, The Last of Us and Yellow Jackets are both in the running.
Nice.
Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series, Pedro Pascal for The Last of Us, and an Outstanding Lead Actress, Melanie Linsky for Yellow Jackets, and Bella Ramsey for The Last of Us. So lots going on there. Outstanding Comedy Series, Wednesday is up for that one. Nice. Jenna Ortega also is up for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series. But the one that I'm most excited about, and the one that deserves the most praise and love, Outstanding TV Movie. And I guess we count streaming releases as TV movies these days. I don't know.
Because I was thinking, like, what's the TV? What only comes out on TV nowadays?
Yeah. So Hocus Pocus 2 is in there. That's horror adjacent. But also up for Outstanding TV Movie is Prey, which was my favorite movie last year. I loved it. It is so much fun. Just the best Predator movie since the original, I think. Dude, so I hope it gets some love in the actual voting.
Yeah, actually, I rewatched Prey last night. It's so good. It's so goddamn good. So good. Man. It's actually up for 6. Like a couple technicals, like outstanding directing, editing, music, sound, and writing. But yeah, that's just amazing. The Predator movie at the Emmys.
And not only that, like to come out of left field like that and be just dropped onto Hulu, I didn't have high expectations for it, right?
No.
And then I watch it, I'm like, dude, like, why am I not sitting in the theater and watching this right now?
Those vistas would have been amazing.
There's 2 things that make that movie for me. One is the effects and the alien or the Predator and everything like that. Like, it's an awesome looking Predator. There's a lot of blood in it. But 2 is Amber Midthunder as the lead. She is so good in that, and she really makes it for me. Like, that's what I was thinking the second time,
because the second time I watched it was last night, and I'm like, I'm actually more interested when she's on the screen than the Predator. She upstages the Predator in my book.
Like, I love Predator 2.
Yeah,
because that was the first Predator I ever saw. And also the end scene, like I remember as a kid getting super giddy when you see the alien skull on the ship. But I didn't buy Danny Glover as a badass. No offense.
Yeah.
And I didn't think he was a compelling and I know why he got the role, fresh off Lethal Weapon, all that stuff. But I didn't like that was a not a great protagonist. Where you're right, Prey had just such an awesome protagonist that I was rooting for, and I want to see her on the screen even more.
Yeah, 100%.
And speaking of which, I took my daughter to see Alien on Monday in the theater out here.
Said that's awesome.
First time, right?
First time seeing Alien, she loved it.
That's cool. The theater's a good way to watch that.
The week before that, we saw Invasion of the Astro Monster.
Nice.
It's one of the cheesier Godzilla movies because he's dancing, like doing weird dances. I'm thinking, like, how is she gonna like this movie? She finished. She goes, "That was so awesome."
Nice.
Yes, like yes.
Oh, and there's a new Godzilla, a new Toho Godzilla.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Godzilla.
Right.
I love
-1.
Shin Godzilla. I love Shin Godzilla. So I've been waiting for them to come out with something like that, and this looks like I don't know if it's a sequel or prequel or what, but it looks really.
You've got the new Toho Godzilla, and did we mention the Pluto TV thing where there's a 24-hour-a-day Godzilla network now that you can watch for free?
I've been living on that station when I'm at home. That's been my comfort.
It's good stuff.
I need to put an extra TV in my office that just has that running 24/7.
And I will say I haven't watched it in a long time, but it was Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2, which I think came out in the early 90s. And I totally forgot about Godzilla Jr. What an adorable character. Like he's a vegetarian Godzillasaurus. I love how they called it Godzillasaurus too. I just want to pet his head and give him a treat. Like what a nice animal. And also, Joe, I was about to back up on Trick or Treat Studios because I don't like spending a lot of money on figures. But for $160, they have the 1/6 scale Tarman.
I saw that.
And I might have to buy that. Fucking thing is 12 inches.
I know.
An ounce is 12 inches. A standard US ruler. So if you get a ruler and sand it up, that's how tall a Tarman's going to be. I don't know what you were thinking, Jason. Like,
many things.
Nothing over here except for maybe my foot is 12 inches.
All right, Jody. Thank you so much.
Even that one, I might be squeezing an extra inch.
All right. Just want to go over to our Patreon pit for a quick moment while Mondo's cracking himself up.
I only cracked up because I broke Jody.
Yeah.
I've got that sick brain. I'm a little fragile right now, so it didn't take much.
The Sudafed's kicking in.
Yeah.
All right, we got a couple new Patreons.
Sudafed makes me crazy.
Yeah.
I just imagine Joey, it makes you crazy chugging a bottle of Sudafed. Yeah, you're taking. It makes you crazy when I take 37 of them in a row.
Mm-hmm. All right, and that's why you get carded for buying Sudafed now. Anyways,
actually, the reason you get carded is because they used to make meth.
Well, yes, that's what I'm saying.
Like, and it's so fucking stupid. Like, I don't. Never mind. I'm not gonna get.
Yeah, we're not gonna.
I'm like, angry. I'm like, if I need 2 boxes of Sudafed because I have to buy one for somebody else, I just can't.
All right, we got a couple new Patreons we want to welcome to the fold. Taylor and I don't know if this is your real name or not, but Offerworld. That might just be a screen name, username, but welcome and thank you for contributing.
And if it is a real name, we sincerely apologize about Jason making fun of you. So
yeah. All right. Our question for the week, since this episode had to deal with poisoning, is if you were poisoned, would you rather die quickly and painfully or slowly and dull?
Dude, can we get some questions that don't like make me feel like shit after I'm done with them?
Yeah,
like,
I have to find something related to the episode, and
okay.
That's what I'm trying to do. I know our next one. I already did our next one because I messed up the timing, but next one's a little bit more fun.
Like, I mean, you could have said, like, would you rather watch this episode again or be kicked in the head by a mule? I would have picked the episode.
Or kicked in the shin by all cats.
Kicked in the shin by... I would rather be kicked in the shin by Al Katz because Al is such a nice guy. I feel like he wouldn't do it very hard.
Yeah,
he's so polite about it.
And then he'd be very polite about it. I feel like he kicked me in the shin, and I'd apologize to him.
All right, so it looks like we had like probably a 2/3. 2/3 actually said the quick way. Friend Whitney said quick, just get over with. Friend Andy said I want it over with so we can go quickly and painfully. I mean, how painful can it really be if it's over quickly? And then
I don't know. I've seen some people die from poisoning in movies and stuff, and even if it's quick, it doesn't look like fun.
Yeah.
Got bad 30 seconds at the end of your life.
I don't know, man. There's plenty of things you can do in 30 seconds that are just that are quite fun.
All right, our friend Janet, or you can take your time with it. Our friend Janet said, "Slow and dull. Give me some time to sort things out." And yeah, I agree with that sentiment. Yeah. Give me some time. I can go play some video games for a little bit, at least just like, you know.
Listen, I come from a family with Alzheimer's in it, like going slowly and like slowly losing yourself. Yeah. That seems to be the path I'm on, unless they develop better drugs. So
yeah, but is that the path you want to be on? Because
no,
like,
not at all.
Again, like I mean, and not to bring the tone down, but like seeing again a family member get hit with Alzheimer's, that is not a fun thing to watch.
No,
I know.
I'm going.
Every time I hear a news report, they're like, you know, new Alzheimer's drug. Like, yes, another chance that maybe my brain will last a little longer.
I want to go quick and painful because I want just enough time to look at my poisoner in the eye and say, "You son of a bitch," and then I'm gonna die. I don't want to go. So I look at it, if you're getting poisoned and have to die slow and dull, that means like your wife is poisoning you by slowly putting a little bit of poison in your food every day until you die. That's like some real fucking sadistic shit. And now in the afterlife, you got to sort that shit out, right? Because you probably don't know you're dying for a long time until it's getting bad. Like, man, why does my stomach hurt every time my wife makes me coffee?
Yeah,
I don't know.
but
Maybe it's the
then,
arsenic she's putting in there.
but then you have time to take revenge on your poisoner.
But what I'm saying, by the time you realize what was happening, it's probably too late. You're already like you seen Breaking Bad, fucking Salamanca? That's how you want to go? I don't think so, sir.
But what does quick mean in this case? Like, are we talking like
3? Okay, I'll just to quantify, I'll say 3 hours.
That's not quick.
Yeah.
Or no, so sorry. I mean, okay, so quick is 30 seconds, slow is like 3 hours.
Oh, quick, definitely quick. 30 seconds, yeah.
Okay, 30 seconds. Okay.
Okay, or a minute,
like
something like.
So if
you can't change them 30 seconds. That's double time.
If quick was 5 minutes or something like that, and like 5 minutes of your internals melting or something, like, you know what? That's a bad 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna have a bad time, oozing out everywhere, fill your eyeballs smoking.
I was thinking
I don't know what poison does.
I was thinking quick like cyanide, where it just kills you. You chew it and you go, and then you're dead. Like, yeah, it sucks. All your organs go and seize up, but it's gonna suck for like 20 seconds and it's just over.
Sure.
You know, we were watching Chernobyl for like the millionth time, the HBO series, which is excellent. And that like extreme radiation poisoning, where your body just breaks down on a genetic level, is like horrifying.
If you ever want to really just have a bummer of a day, did you ever read about the guy that in Japan that got radiation poisoning and they intentionally kept him alive to see what it do to him? And he was like in immense pain for like, look it up because it's a really sad story. The guy was basically begging people to kill him for like 6 months, and they were doing everything they could to keep him alive, just to see how the body would react to the radiation. It's so fucked up. All I know, guys, if we break down in a nuclear war, and I'll do the same thing for you. If they try to do that shit for me, or that happens to one of you guys, I will fucking smother you with a pillow and I will go to prison, because I'm not letting my boys deal with that shit.
Appreciate that.
Have you guys heard the movie Threads?
No.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like a British like what if movie about nuclear war, basically, and it's not fun.
Yeah, I have seen. Is it the fake news?
Yeah, it's like a news kind of thing.
Yeah, I watched that when I was young. It terrified me.
Yeah, I've listened to several podcasts from British podcasters, and without exception, every one of them was like, "What's the scariest movie you watched as a kid?" It was that. Like they saw it on like network TV at like 7:00 one night, just messing.
Oh, dude. Yeah, like I was convinced like 5 minutes. I think I saw it when I was young. Like, oh my God, this is oh God, what is gonna happen? Little do we know, 30 years later, here we are.
All right.
All these things.
Now Threads is just the more peaceful version of Twitter.
Yes, find us on Threads.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite things when Threads started. People start posting pictures from the movie onto it.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's fun.
Yeah,
I didn't see that. That's pretty cool.
All right, dad advice. Make sure you have your poison control number handy.
I have some dad advice.
Yeah, here's poisoning advice real quick. If it burns going down, don't make yourself throw it back up, because you're just going to burn your esophagus even worse. Call poison control in those situations.
It's really sad, like when you look at and not to get into debate about gun control on this episode, because we try to we never talk politics on here, obviously. But like if they ban guns in the United States, the one thing you would see a lot of is you see suicide rates go down a lot. And reason being is most people who try to kill themselves via pills or something like that, most of them survive, but it fucks them up really bad internally, which is really sad. But you would see, like, to kill yourself that way, you have to actually plan it and think about it. And most people, when they actually think about it, hopefully they talk to somebody and get help and then don't go through with it. Whereas when you have a gun, you could have a really this is gonna sound like I'm joking. I'm dead serious when I'm saying this. I don't mean this as a joke, but like, you ever been having a really fucking bad day and then like you bite your tongue and you're like, this could be it. Like, I could just fucking drive through a wall right now because this is just not what I needed. I've always equated it to, like, when people say, how does this person commit suicide? Well, a lot of times I equate it to, like, when you used to watch the old Tweety Bird cartoons with Sylvester, and he's carrying like a safe and a couch and all the stuff, and then Tweety puts a feather on top and it makes him crumble. That's all it takes sometimes, a little feather. And that's where guns come into play, because someone has a bad day at work and it takes 2 seconds to make that decision, whereas everything else you got to think of, but not to get there. You know what? I actually had another idea for dad advice, but I'll save it for next week, because I was reading on our Slack that someone was having just talking about their child wanting to move out at the age of 18, and something I've dealt with recently, and it turned into it's a very scary experience, turned into a very positive experience. But anybody who's dealing with that, what I'll just say real fast is trust yourself as a parent that you've given your teenagers the right tools to make good decisions, but also make sure they know. It's very important they know if they decide they want to move back home. If they decide, because it's not like it was even more weird. Like when our parents were growing up, dude, there's a whole thing with like 18, you get a job at the mill, and then 3 months you buy a house. Like that's
right.
Nowadays you can't fucking do that, right? And
you can be 40 and not be able to buy a house.
Yeah, dude, 100%. Like it's way different time. And I think it's important to know, hey, like if you move out and you try this and it doesn't work or you don't like it, guess what? Your room's still there. Our door is still open. We're not going to look down on you for it. You're not a failure. It's just, hey man, you tried something, didn't work. Guess what? Pick yourself up and we'll do it again, but we're here to support you and we're here to help you. But I think as a parent, you have to also kind of have some trust in your kid and know, like, it's fucking scary, dude. Don't get me wrong. It is scary. And it's scary the first time your kid gets those car keys to go drive by themselves. It's all that scary. Over time, does it get easier? Yeah. But like, I still worry about my kid all the fucking time. My kid's 20 and lives out of the house. But they know 100%, like if things don't work out, guess what, man, my door's open right here and there's no judgment. There's no shame in it. It'd be nice to have you around more. Just saying. If you're listening.
Yeah, I mean, no, my oldest turns 18 in September, and he's been here all summer, and he's actually going back next week, and then he's gonna go start a job and start going to community college. And
nice, good for him.
Yeah, it's a crazy transition because this is like his last like full summer, because he's gonna have to work and everything. So but I have all the confidence in the world with him. But the world's a scary place. So even you could have the best kid in the world, most responsible kid, and there's just shit happens out there. So it is a terrifying thought. But I have put my confidence in as I trust and I love him. Yeah, and I'll be there whenever he needs me.
Now we're not quite there yet, but I am at the point now that we're getting drivers in our house. We've got 2 learners permits right now, and we'll be having license before too long. And so anytime you have something like that, and I feel like, Mondo, what you were saying, like you could come back, and it's that same kind of thing that I've told my kids, where I'm like, if you end up in a situation now or down the road that you need to be pulled out of, or you need to come back, or you need my help, I'm there. Like, even if you're doing 100%. Something like that you shouldn't be doing, and you realize like, oh, I've got myself in a bad situation and it's all my fault, I want their first move to be, I need to call mom and dad.
It's like, I won't get into the details, but something happened at a festival out here, and my daughter's like, oh, I want to talk to you about this. And I felt really good that she came to me and talked about a shitty situation that happened, that she put herself in, she made a bad decision, and she owned it and was like, I'm going to make a better decision next time. But I want to tell you, I'm like, no, I said, I'm super, like, I'm flattered that I'm I know I did something right. If you're okay to come to your parents and talk about this, because like growing up, at least for me, I still remember same thing I told my kid, but I actually meant it when I said it. My parents told me, like, if you ever go out to a party and you've been drinking or something like that and you can't get home, just let us know. So that happened one time. So I called home to say, hey, I'm not coming home tonight. I think I was like 17. I might have been 18 at the time. And I got screamed at for fucking an hour on the phone. And then I got home, like, well, why am I ever going to tell you that again now? Because you told me you wouldn't get mad. Then you got mad. Yeah. And again, it comes also down to transparency with your kids and being just honest with them, right? And like, even if like I did get mad, I didn't get mad at all, I would say, hey, yeah, I'm upset, but like, I'm not mad at you. Please understand, like, I'm mad at the situation and I shouldn't be mad. So I need to work through this. Not you. But like, yeah.
So to give a silly example, it reminds me, there's an episode of Simpsons where Bart gets a job like working for a courier service, and he's traveling all over the world, and he has to get back home, and Lisa knows what's going on. And Lisa tells Homer, and she says, you have to promise not to get mad about it. And so she tells him that, and his face turns completely red, and he just stands there and goes, oh, well, that's interesting. okay. Then doesn't say anything about it, doesn't fight about it, but like inside he's like, I'm gonna but on the outside, and for how he treats Bart, like it never comes up, it's never mentioned, he doesn't scream at him, he just helps him get back home. And that's, I think that's probably real, that there can be situations where your kid can call and on the internally you're going, I can't believe this happened, I'm very frustrated and upset by the situation, but also I'm just going to love you on it. Like that's what I'm here to do.
And we all made mistakes growing up, and we're going to give that wisdom, and we're going to give that wisdom to our kids, right? And we have to 100% understand they're going to ignore 99% of it, and there's nothing wrong with that. We did the same thing. We heard the same stuff from our the older people and the mentors in our lives. And I mean, not me, my parents weren't around, but I heard that from like people that are older than me that I worked with who were smart would tell me, oh, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And you want to know what? Like if I had to listen to them, I wouldn't probably be married or have a kid that I love to death. And I'm not going to listen to the advice, but sometimes you're going to have to do stuff you were warned about, and fall on your face to learn that lesson. This is how it's going to be. And you can't get mad. Sometimes like we have to put ourselves in our shoe, not in our kid shoes, because I hate that term, because none of us will ever know what it's like to be 18 years old in 2023. We just can't. We physically, mentally cannot comprehend, emotionally cannot comprehend that with everything kids. It's a different world than we grew up in. But what we can do is take ourselves and put ourselves in our shoes when we were 18 and know how we acted towards authority, how we listened, and know the mistakes we made, and know that our kids are we can tell them they're going to make the mistake, but we have to expect it to happen. But the only goal is now we're better prepared as human beings, emotionally, mentally, all that stuff, to help them work through it, and hopefully done a better job raising them than our parents did of us. And we've broken that generational trauma a little bit to where they'll know that they can come to us, and we'll always be there for support. And that's the most important thing. Like if your kid knows, hey, I can fall down because mom and dad are going to still be here for me. And yeah, it might be an uncomfortable conversation, but we're going to get there. Yeah, it goes a long way. It does go a long way.
All right. Well, I think
that's what we'll talk about next week. So,
yeah.
Well, now we're not going to talk about it next week. Maybe we'll just dive into suicide next week. Why not? Have a cheery episode.
There we go. All right. Well, that wraps up another episode. Next week, we are going to do another horror anthology. We're going to do mid-90s campfire tales with James Marsden and Amy Smarts. And we'll have a very special guest on there for you, and should be a good time. We appreciate everyone for listening. We'd really appreciate if you would give us a rating and review on iTunes, a rating on Spotify. Check out our YouTube channel for videos of these podcasts. And with that, we thank you for listening to Dads from the Crypt.
You want a sweet gift card? You leave us the iTunes review. You can't hear this, but I'm pointing at menacingly at my eyes, like threatening. I'm threatening. Adios.
Follow Dads from the Crypt on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or I will follow you to the grave. No, seriously, you really should watch. But be careful what you ask for. You may get it.